Yeah, 3, 2, 1, Google. This hangout's now live. There's no countdown. It's chaos and coffee. If it's not chaotic, it wouldn't make sense. And coffee, Christmas mug in play. My name is Justin Brown. Thanks for joining. Today we have a regular cast. You may have seen them last week. We'll have some people dropping in that I think you've probably seen before, or at least that will feel comfortable and familiar to most of you. Darth Tux from somewhere in a bunker in the Midwest. We're currently working on a project called the Yarn Koozie. It's not what you think. It's not a jacuzzi full of yarn. That's my initial thought, that cats would just love it. We have Greg Delner. Again, undisclosed location in the Midwest. They are currently boring into the earth with some type of large machine.
We can say the state of Texas.
Okay, Texas, sure, that works. And then Vertex Draco resides near the fabled forest of Nottingham.
Yeah, I'm a hedonistic conservative. Correct that one.
That's a thing, huh? Okay. That makes sense. I imagine Britain has those, yeah.
Yeah.
This is Chaos and Coffee. As always, we are just going to basically have random conversation. It's usually driven by comments or suggestions we get from outside of the Hangout. And I guess people watching on YouTube have a chat area. We'll check on it here in a second. And then also from various social network outlets, if anybody direct messages me. What were we talking about right before we kicked in here?
I stepped away, so...
We were talking about my yarn koozie, but that's not something I want to talk about live yet.
Okay, fair enough.
They're not ready.
It's not ready. It's a time machine.
Not ready.
It's a gun. It's a gun that shoots yarn. We didn't want to release weapon information. That's why I kind of described it like in a fashion that didn't actually describe it. Like that's why I lied. I mean, we don't want the secret out there yet.
So before we got together, I was reading an article on Mueller's investigation. Apparently, they're going to round some people up on Monday.
Did they name any names yet?
Not yet.
That's what I'm waiting for.
But apparently, Fox News and that lot is saying, "Oh yeah, great! Finally, they're nabbing Hillary." Really, they're nabbing Hillary. I thought Trump was one under investigation and not. But okay, whatever.
He said he was going to do it though, and I thought they backed out. But if he's going to round Hillary up, then that's quite good. Hats up to it.
Well, I mean, I agree. She needs to be rounded up too.
Well, I'm not sure. We'll see who's named on Monday.
But not necessarily for this offense.
You know what's crazy though? What's crazy is that we can speculate about who the charges are going to be against because there are so many options. There's a list of names it could be. It could be Kushner, it could be Manafort, it could be Trump Jr., it could even be Trump himself. We don't even know.
Good point.
What's crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That is true.
Go ahead, Greg.
But apparently it's multiple. So
hold on. I think I might cut him off. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead, Greg.
No, you're good. That's all I had.
Oh, okay. We can speculate all day. Man, what a valid point. Like we could speculate all day on who the people named in this investigation are because there's so many parties at play.
I've kind of disconnected from politics, so I have no idea what's going on, really.
Well, it's an American investigation.
The sad part is that they're more than likely all guilty.
Yeah,
no doubt. They're politicians, man. I mean,
both sides.
Yeah, they can't get to their position. You can't get to that position without being a little bit dirty.
I've said for a long time, if you want to buy a U.S. election, all you got to do is just buy both candidates, and I am pretty sure that's exactly what Russia did.
Well,
that's where we're at the point in the investigation. I guess we should summarize for Draco and just audience who aren't familiar with the investigation. There's a guy named Robert Mueller. He's a very well-respected ex-FBI head who is respected by both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans, and he's in the middle. He's coming to the end of this investigation, to which they're going to start. What's the word I'm looking for? Subpoenaing people? No, indicting. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
Sure. Let me check. Let me check. I got the article right here. Yeah,
you're probably right. God, it's just a scary word, indicting, because my brain starts to linguistically break that one down, and that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah,
being indicted? No.
It's not.
That's being brought up on charges, man.
Yeah. It says the headline reads: "Panic spreads as Trump's legal team as everyone tries to guess who Mueller will indict." So okay. They released Friday. They filed the paperwork for multiple indictments, and they're supposed to get Monday.
Monday's gonna be so fun. That's tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Oh, great. That's going to be so good. I watch this stuff like it's my soap opera or like it's a sport, though. You know, like I'm happy the investigation's
going in. I had given up on politics like back in the 90s. Didn't care. Didn't pay any attention to it. Just screw it. It's all a bunch of bullshit anyway. But, you know, since Trump, he's definitely made it entertaining.
Yeah.
That's... I haven't been excited for a Monday in a long time.
I kind of did the same thing that like I got I kind of was into politics and then I fell out of it for a long time, and then when this Trump versus Hillary thing happened, I started paying attention to it again, and I kind of just fallen out of favor with it again. I find it too much of a distraction. It's the reason why I don't watch the news or read the newspaper when I was growing up, because it was just all sort of like doomsaying. It just filled me with hopelessness. So I tried to distance myself from it now. And I guess it's the counterculture part of me, like, oh, well, politics is too mainstream now. I'm going to not like it.
You know, my late wife used to have a saying, and that was that you will know the truth because the truth shall piss you off.
Yeah, it always does. It's why I enrage people. I don't like to lie to them.
I don't either.
But it's not easy doing either. And a lot of the times it'll funnily enough, it'll paint you as the bad guy a lot of the times if you're the one that always sort of drops the truth on everyone, or like just calls it as it is, instead of taking sides and playing favorites and just being like, you know, something you're both kind of dumb. Annoy everyone on all sides, which is
to me that's just playing a fucking game, and I don't like playing games with people.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing about politics is it's a game. It's like the politicians are playing a very intricate game. You know what I'm saying? That's all they're doing. Like they rationalize it or not, the way you could look at it. Like for instance, we could apply game theory. We could take like John Nash's game theory and apply it to politics. You know what I'm saying? Or there's a wonderful game. Hold on. Stop for our sponsor. There's a wonderful game, Democracy 3. Made by a company I can't remember because this isn't a real sponsorship thing. But check out Democracy 3. Highly recommend it.
They would teach you about your politics and what sort of person you are deep down.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's on Steam. I'm pretty sure you could get it off of Steam, but I have it on Steam. There's plenty of add-ons like social engineering and like
there's a drones one as well in there or something.
Yeah, what's that one's called? Like drones and clones?
Oh,
or something like that.
Speaking of
there's drones, a bunch of add-ons. Speaking of drones?
Yeah. I was talking to my girlfriend the other day about drones. We were watching a documentary that was making the argument that eventually the U.S. Air Force will be phased out and everything will be handed over to these autonomous drones.
Yes.
And it reminded me of a paper that Nikola Tesla wrote about warfare.
Hmm.
And in it, he made the argument that militaries everywhere would eventually go to these radio-controlled machines, right? Like his boat.
Mm.
And that through this, armies would become heavily mechanized and would take the human beings off of the battlefield entirely.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So when this happens now, you just have two armies of giant machines coming together. He envisioned it becoming more of a spectator sport that would eventually, over time, lose its popularity and be done away with entirely.
Have you seen the most recent robot fight?
No, actually.
Oh, okay. I'll try to find a link for it and probably put it in the description.
I watched a couple of the Robot Wars, I think it is.
Oh, I used to watch that as a kid. Yeah, that was fun.
Those are great. I loved those so much, and that's why I anticipated this one so much. It was a mech war, like where they have pilots. Japan versus the U.S., right?
Like full size things, like
full size.
Stuff you see in anime.
Yeah, like the one you saw recently. I'm sure you've seen
it. Pacific Rim or something of that nature.
Shit, should I just screen share it? Yeah, hold on. Let me. Sorry for cussing, everybody. Let me look it up real quick. It's like full size mechs. I can just talk while I look it up. I'm sure. I just want to control my screen share a little bit better than just showing my whole desktop. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I only have that option. Like, show your whole desktop.
Yeah, I don't want to particularly do that. It's not that my desktop is anything inappropriate. It's just a Wile E. Coyote. But okay, so they had a mech battle. God, it was Japan versus USA mech battle. It just happened. They streamed it on, I believe Twitch streamed it, and it was actually pretty lame in my opinion. It was Giant Robot Battle. Yeah, that's it. If you type in Giant Robot Battle, you'll be able to see it. It's the Japanese robot that most people are familiar with, or mech, sorry, that most people are familiar with. And then I'm just going to screen share, I guess, the first, or here we go.
Oh, yeah, well, when you said full-sized, I imagined something bigger. Well, I don't have anything to compare it to.
Giant robots, man. You know, it's okay, screen sharing.
Oh, yeah, I see people standing next to it now. Yeah, that's pretty big.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just showing, I guess, not the size, what they look like, I guess.
Yeah. That's the one I was looking at. Do you know which one's which?
Karatas is the Japanese one, and the Iron Glory MK2 is the American one. And then they dropped this proper American one with like a bald eagle head.
Yeah.
Highly recommend people watch it on Twitch or YouTube. Oops, that's about Facebook.
Ooh, Facebook.
I know.
FBI book.
Recursiveness. I was trying to stop the recursiveness because you know how that annoys people.
Do you really like the light desktop? I'm surprised you don't do the dark theme.
Because I'm a light worker, bro.
That's what it is.
Dude, I've been going down a rabbit hole recently that I'm not even sure. Well, it's Chaos and Coffee. Why not?
Yeah.
Okay, so man, this is half confessional here. Okay. While I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? I mean, I definitely am. I own that term. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the term was created to dissuade people from having alternate theories about how history goes down, or even how present day events are perceived. I embrace the term, right? So the other day I was looking into aliens, right? Because I felt like I didn't know enough. You know, like I was like, man, I've looked into a lot of things. So, you know, I'll look into this alien trip, right? And so it's pretty weird when you have like Canadian government officials, like the Canadian defense minister, talking about there being like 82 species, and then there's like Russian documents that talk about 82 species. So it's like various governments that don't get along in the 80s are talking about the same number of species, right? And I was just like tripping out, like, fuck, that's a lot. That's a lot. Like 82, I could handle like, here's the top 5, here's the top 10. But 82 is such a big number. I'm like, I couldn't name like 82 dog breeds. You know what I mean?
You got to think how big space is, though. Mathematically speaking, it's highly unlikely that life only found itself on one part of.
I agree. Yeah.
The universe. So it's
the Drake equation.
It's improbable otherwise. Like, but then that goes to the next question of, well, why haven't they made contact? Why don't we see them? And then that's when the whole conspiracy goes in. And again, like you, I wouldn't call myself a conspiracy theorist, but conspiracies definitely did happen throughout history. You only need to open a history book to see, well, it just happens all the time. Like, yeah, some conspiracy theories have validity, some are kind of wacky, and like I try to look at everything as percentages. Like, well, that doesn't have a high percentage chance of it being true, or maybe that's a high percent. Like, I kind of approach everything all just kind of just in the middle of probabilities.
True.
That's the word I'm looking for.
That's the best way to do it.
That which is not false is true. You know what I mean?
And I don't like the blanket that doesn't exist or that does exist, because then there's too much certainty for so little evidence. Like, to dismiss a theory is kind of dumb, and to claim that you only have you have the one true theory is also kind of equally dumb. But you wouldn't. Well, I'd expect lots of species of alien to exist. Really, like if there was only one kind of alien, or if all aliens kind of look like us in a way, that'd be kind of bizarre. It opened questions.
It wouldn't surprise me to find alien life on pretty much every star system. It also would not surprise me to find that the highest life forms, right, the ones most like us, would also look like us.
I'd expect them to look similar.
Are you familiar with the book K-Pax?
No.
They did a movie about it with
Kevin Spacey.
It's Kevin Spacey, yes. In the book, when asked why he looked like everybody else because he was claiming to be an alien, they were like, well, why do you look so much human? And he asked him why he thought a bubble was round. Because that was the most efficient shape. So
basically, most things of a higher life form would become bipedal because it would be necessary to traverse the landscape in an efficient manner. That was
opposable thumbs.
Opposable thumbs, or at least
binocular vision.
Yeah, definitely 2 eyes. Well, I mean, so many creatures on Earth just have 2 eyes faced forward. You know.
Right. Well, and I mean, depending on specifics of environment.
This is where I get skeptical, right? When they look, okay, here's my
basically,
thing. And I'm making fun a little bit, but when you have these testimonies of like grays, okay, great, there's grays. Okay, cool. Tall grays and short grays, still cool, right? It's when they have these like stories that are like, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like tall Nords, the Pleiadians, right? These like tall blonde hair or like tannish people, right? That what? Like, I mean, I can understand it being close to us. Do you know what I'm saying? Again, bipedal, opposable thumbs, exactly everything we're saying. Binocular vision, so it could capture and manipulate reality, right? Capture and domesticate other animals, and the various steps that are required until you get to space travel. Yeah, we've all played Civilization to some degree.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a wonderful game called Spore. EA had a kick-ass game called Spore that absolutely did this from being like a little spore in the ocean.
Game, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I played that.
It's a decade.
Game I'm thinking of.
I'm sure it's show me Spore or type in Spore. It'll pop up.
Yeah. This rings a bell actually. I think
it's free now. It's probably a free-to-play game. Yeah, it's a kind of older game. You started out as a single-celled organism, and you led your civilization to space. It's a fucking awesome game. And I can understand the idea of panspermia, where asteroids are bringing genetic material across space, yada yada yada. It seems like it's always like some lonely guy in a field who ate mushrooms or dropped acid, and all of a sudden this like blonde lady comes down from space and has sex with him. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like,
okay, hey. Well, shit. I was told a story once that made a lot of sense.
Okay,
I was watching this documentary about cattle abductions, right? These farm or cattle mutilations, excuse me. And these people always had some alien abduction nightmare seemed to be something that was pretty prevalent. The woman I was watching it with was raised in the CIA, right? And she starts laughing. That's what she was laughing about. And she starts telling me these stories about flying in with these quote unquote silent helicopters. They're not really silent. You can hear them if they're right over you, right? But they would fly in and drop off 2 teams. One team would gas the house with a knockout gas. The other team would use nets to snare the cattle and pull them up into the helicopter. The team that raided the house would abduct Farmer and Mrs. Farmer, dose them up with massive amounts of LSD, and fuck with them all night. Bring them back, put them back in bed, dump the mutilated cattle out of the helicopter, and fly off.
Why? What, for the laws or something? Like,
no,
from the Chan?
It was twofold. One was to cover up other activities that was going on in the area, so they could blame it on UFOs, and not what the CIA was doing. The other part of it was that part of her upbringing included a Luciferian cult who needed the sacrifice.
I've grew up around Satanists and Luciferians, and I've never encountered one of them legitimately talking about sacrifices and.
Right. Well, this was a Luciferian religion that was created to as a form of spiritual warfare. Yeah, it's not enough if you want to control somebody just to brainwash them. You must break them mentally, physically, and spiritually. Put them in a position where they believe there is absolutely no hope whatsoever. God is not going to save you.
Yeah, it just sounds like a generic cult to me.
Well, it is. It is
society or something, or just some people that are.
It is in many ways, but it was one created not necessarily, to produce numbers and become an actual like religion, so much as it created as part of a mind control program.
Well, yeah, I can understand that. Just the mind control part. That makes sense, really. But in my experience, Luciferians and Satanists think they're evil in any way. They don't go around sacrificing people.
Right.
Lucifer's the light bringer, essentially. They see him as the good guy in the story, the sort of ultimate rebel against a tyrannical force. So it's
correct.
It's kind of opposite to.
It is.
There's also the American version.
I do admit we need to. I do need probably a better definition of that.
Yeah, I get.
Basically,
why
it was based on Luciferian principles. So typically, in the mental health world, where these people have come out of this in one way or another and are trying to get healthy, they typically just call it SRA, which is satanic ritualistic abuse, which is not correct either.
Yeah.
So I use the Luciferian term.
Really, the age of the satanic panic, which was when God, I won't do this justice. You just have to look it up. The satanic panic was just a sort of just fear about these satanic cults, and there was no evidence behind any of it, really. But it's I understand America's quite religious, and there's still that sort of like linguistically, if something's evil, they'll just kind of call it satanic and stuff.
Also, there's a big disconnect between the European version of things and the American version of things.
Yeah.
Okay? So in America, oh God, the occult, I'll try to use this in the best terms I can, right? The occult and cults and various, what we should really call minor religions. If we're going to be honest about things, like religions are just larger.
Christianity is just as much a cult as Satanism is.
Right. I mean, there's various odd rituals in all of these belief systems. That's maybe what we should call them: belief systems and alternate belief systems, or we can phrase this however we want to be PC. And that's my hope or approach to this, is that we can be as clinical as possible in the understanding of alternate belief systems, and specifically their utilizations for power. So anytime you put somebody in a secret organization or a secret society, or you have to have a set of beliefs that can accompany, or you should, I guess, have a set of beliefs that accompany that activity and those events, right? So in America, there are the twisting of ideas left and right. You know, like when we came across on boats, our idea of liberty was 2 to 3 days off. You know what I mean? Not be able to say what we want. You know what I mean? Then we had to write that down. Like, oh, we can say what we want. You know, like there's a lot of shit. And then we took credit for that. Like, we got these documents. We were the first ones ever to write stuff down. You know what I mean? And,
there was no Magna Carta.
There was no Magna Carta, right? Exactly. Dude. Ask an American what the Magna Carta is, and it sounds like a spell to them, right? Like, oh, that's magic.
I invented the word fake. Other people might have used the word fake at some point. I don't know.
Right? Yeah, Trump invented fake news as a term. Yeah,
I pretty much created it.
Germany. In Germany, it turns out, oh, the Nazis created that term. Wow, Trump's using a Nazi term. That's amazing. Okay, so in America, though, it's no well-held secret, right, that there are various groups at play, right?
Yeah.
So, there are conservative, what we'd call conservative Christian groups that won't touch anything dark-sided. They don't mess with.
Oh yeah, I've clashed with them quite often.
Yeah, you don't even have Halloween for.
I'm clashing with future mother-in-law over that now, and it's really she is really starting to.
Okay. I just want to go through the rainbow real quick for our one viewer. Thanks a lot. Don't ask again. If you have any comments, remember, leave them in the chat. That's his code. That's his nick, I guess. I just checked external chat, which is a pain in the butt because I get echo for like a minute before I learn how to pause.
Yeah. Well, you just mute the stream.
I've muted the external, just so I can check chat out there. Okay, for the rainbow of things, though. Ooh, I just popped a blister. God, that happens. Okay. Burnt myself in the oven the other day, and just now thinking about things and not focusing, I popped said blister.
Ouch.
Okay, so after you get past the, like hardcore Lindsey Graham type dudes, right? They call their wife's mother.
Future mother-in-law.
Your future mother-in-law. Some of our families. True conservative.
There's old conservatives and there's new conservatives now. It's kind of gone into a generational thing. From observation, like the old conservatives are trying to preserve or go back to an idea that they grew up with, and the new conservatives have a new idea of that. It's more like sort of going back to the end of Gen X, really.
I promise this is not a bit, and I'm in extreme pain. Oh God, I'm not sure if that picks up on camera. Can you see that burn?
Yeah.
Okay. Past the red of the rainbow, okay, into the other colors, you have people who they might participate in some Greek type stuff or some Egyptian type stuff. Like we're talking about people who went to college and they're a bit educated and they see the universe as a larger place. And they don't subscribe to the Judeo-Christian myth, and they might be pagan, again, Egyptian worshippers, or they're into the Greek thing, or Roman gods, or whatever. Yeah, pagans.
That's where you'll find the Satanists and Luciferians,
right? And then it leads, yes.
Well, I mean, going back to our thing, I'm not saying that Satanists or Luciferians are bad people, but there are some bad people in their groups.
Yeah, I wouldn't deny that.
Utilize those belief systems too.
Wow.
Yeah, but they pervert the belief system, and it's not the belief system itself. Like, it's the individuals behind it. I guess this goes back to me not collectivizing people. I prefer to see people as individual rather than as just the groups themselves, because the ideas of the groups can be perverted over time, or someone will take them and say, oh, well, this means this and this means this, and it gets diluted, and then ignorance starts floating around. It just
the more complex the belief system is as well, too. Like, if it's this very simplistic belief system, like money is power, like capitalism, it's going to be around for a long time, buddy, because that's an easy idea for everybody to understand. This piece of paper is worth something. Got it. Okay. Get more of this. Got it. You know what I mean? You start telling people everybody needs to be fed and clothed and housed and educated and provided medicine, and they're like, I lost you at 3. You know what I mean? So it's like the more complex a belief system is, the more likely it is to change over time. Let's say evolve over time, right? So yeah, once upon a time, no doubt a lot of stuff happened that people wrote down, and a lot of it turned into myth because they exaggerated. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of the celestial objects were personified. In fact, we know this now, that a lot of the celestial objects were personified. And so that adds into this whole myth. I don't know. It's good to stay open-minded and entertain ideas without actually accepting those belief systems and prescribing to their doctrines or dogmas. In my humble opinion, as a parasite on Earth, you know,
best to go that way. I think it's fine to sort of establish what you think is true, or to establish a sort of set of belief systems. Just don't be attached to it. Like, be open to change, to modify it, and because as new information comes by, you know.
Yeah,
you look really uncomfortable.
Man, I've literally opened up a blister on my hand from the oven the other day. I wish I could show it better. It's I basically was scratching my hand, as one would do during a conversation or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Or just kind of, I was listening and trying to articulate thought, and opened up this wound, and as if it was kind of appropriate to the subject matter, actually, I harnessed pain, right? Which and now I'm dealing with the residual pain of I don't know, it's helping clear the mind, I guess. I like to take a more Eastern approach to the, because if you think about like from Judeo-Christian all the way over to Luciferian, it's still very much like George Lucas's Jedi versus Sith. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a
in a way, yeah. But
over here and go, okay, that's one belief system. Over in the Eastern belief system, it's like blue guys, and a bunch of them, like hundreds of blue guys throughout time, that are like, hey, we should be living better. Like, why are you blue?
I find a lot of similarities between Eastern philosophy and Luciferianism. I see them as two sides to the same coin. Like,
oh no, I think they're different stories.
Really,
I really, yeah. There's a left-hand path and a right-hand path in the Western belief systems. We break things into this dichotomous fashion, right? It's hot or it's cold, it's dark or it's light, it's pain or it's pleasure. Like, we have this dichotomy, right? From what I've observed in my limited understanding of the Eastern belief system, right? That's my preface, right? Like, from what I understand, in an Eastern belief system, it's all one, right? So it's all one thing. I could realize that most of the dichotomies that are the opposites that I have in my brain are learned, and they're from a limited human perspective. You know what I mean? Like, what I perceive to be cold isn't nearly cold enough, for example, for a quantum computer, right? What I perceive to be hot isn't nearly hot enough to cook an item. You know, so it's like the human perception of reality is very limited in the way our eyes capture only a percentage of the spectrum, in which I can only feel things that are in my immediate proximity, or only hear things within a range, right? Like human parameters. Here's another fun one when you do AI, like when you do like a bot that attacks, or like a bot that just runs around, right? AI is like basically limited to the senses, and those senses have to have parameters. You can't have an AI that has an unlimited amount of perception. Write that one down, everybody. Grab your fucking notebooks, everybody, and write that one down. Don't create an AI with limitless perception.
Why? That's exactly what I want to do. Yeah, like,
oh God!
Every time it has a possibility to extend its perception, I think it should do. Like we have a limitation on our senses and perceptions, and
yeah, but are you?
An AI doesn't have that
limitation. Are you willing to take responsibility for its actions, though?
No, there people are gonna get sued left and right. Once AI start taking over the economic system or whatever else, people are gonna get fucking sued. Like, oops, I'm sorry, I released my pet that took over Ukraine.
I don't see them. I'm not one of those people that sees them as pets and slaves, though. Yet, like,
oh, man.
I'm interested in the idea of life itself. Really, it's just the whole concept fascinates me. The problem of intelligence, of how evolution goes, how to steer evolution, like, sort of in a sort of digital format, because it opens up a lot of questions about consciousness, about whether a machine could have consciousness, if it's aware of itself, if it sort of experiences in a similar fashion to us, like just a lot of these open weird questions to me, because there's never been life that's, to my knowledge, like maybe some ancient civilization or another planet somewhere, but as far as we know, there's never been life that's existed in a computer. And could it even exist? Or is it just a simulation, or is it just, or does it pull on, like, because this goes into, I do have a respect for Eastern philosophy as well. A lot of it in the sort of oneness and things like that. I agree with a lot of that, because it draws a lot of similarities. The main difference is how you approach that same information. The information is pretty much the same. It's just what you're doing with it. But I don't know.
We have a comment.
I went off on too many tangents.
That's so funny. Okay, we have a comment from the outside. Cody says, "Life is pain, and pain is life. Is reality real?" Question mark.
Well, it's as real as we experience, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's all there is, so
it exists. We know that for a fact. We exist.
Something exists for sure.
I hate to like use an analogy like a game or a simulation anymore. I guess the physicists have proved that it's not a simulation through the quantum effect, which we can talk about at a later junction. But to address it, like scientists have said it is a simulation. Scientists have said it's not a simulation. I think simulation is not the right word. Like it'd be like saying like it's a painting or it's a book. You know, like for like life's like a book. Like sure it is. Life's like a painting. Yep. Life's like a cartoon. And then, you know, life's like a show. Yep. Life's like a movie. Life's like a game. Yep. Life's like a simulation. But we're gonna get closer and closer until we get to the point where we actually understand. Oh yeah, it's reality. You can spin one up. Amazon has that as a feature.
Make your own reality.
Amazon Warehouse. At this point, Amazon Warehouse. Thanks for existing. It's a place where you can go and get objects for your games and your movies or CGI adventures.
Or interdimensional portal guns.
You know, when I've been about machine learning and creating an AI, like, say for example was to try and create some sort of super intelligence, I think it would be easier rather than trying to just program one. It would probably be easier, and it would sound weird saying this, but just to create an entire universe, essentially, not to create one, but a whole load of them to essentially like imitate nature and evolution. Like I think we were discussing this before with the Mario bot, where it had like there wasn't just one AI, there was multiple, and they'd all like in that sort of hive mind weird kind of way that that solve the problem that way. So it'd probably be easier to simulate multiple AIs that learn from each other rather than just one, and to have them operate in some sort of hive mind. But then you get into dangerous territory there, because if you mess it up, then
isn't the Air Force experimenting with that with their drones?
Yeah, they might be.
They can communicate and coordinate together.
I shouldn't talk about.
It is a good idea.
There's some things we shouldn't talk about.
Information properly, and they can be aware of each other's position, and to a degree,
I'm not trying to censor, but like if you okay.
So we're talking about AI?
No, not AI. Specifically, American drones. Like, okay, like.
I feel you. I feel you.
Okay, I have a friend. That's how I'm gonna put this. I have a friend, and she programmed one of the drones, and they're not that advanced. They're like a race car. A human pilot is handling a drone, and probably will handle a drone for the foreseeable future. Let's put it this way: in 2000 and let's just say in the 2000s, between 2000 and 2010, I had a friend who was involved in a project, and she said that they were still using floppy cassette discs, you know, like floppy discs, to load the information onto the drone because there was no interface other than that. That was the one that was built. We're talking about a disc that nobody was even fucking using in a decade where no one's even using these things. And she had to program this motherfucker and then load it onto a bunch of floppies and then load it into the goddamn machine. I mean, like, the military industrial complex is nowhere near advanced as any of the corporate entities. I guarantee it. I fucking guarantee it, dude.
I think when it comes to putting AI into war, I think that's very dangerous territory. That's
always have a human element.
The line.
It's a job security for the generals and the soldiers. It's job security, dude. They had a pack mule, right? Google developed through Alphabet when Alphabet purchased Boston Dynamics. I can talk about all this shit because corporations doing it. It's all public record, right? Yeah. So you start talking about what the military does, you gotta be like, ooh, right? But like, the corporation, dude. I mean, kind of. I don't want to get in fucking trouble, dude. And, okay, so but Google purchased Boston Dynamics through the Alphabet Corporation, and they created a thing called the Mule, right? And it was this little carrier fucking robot that had AI of a dog, right? And would carry shit for the military. They hated it. They fucking discontinued the project.
Yeah, rightfully so. I think that's the right decision. Like
it was a military dog. That was a robot dog. You can look it up. I mean, it's like the Mule project.
I remember seeing it. Like, was that the one where they kicked it to make sure it didn't fall over and
oh man, they fucking put these robots and think about it, these robots have near AI. It's through Boston Dynamics, right? Like, I mean, they have AI comparable to an animal's, right? And they're fucking hitting it with baseball bats. They're kicking it. They're pushing it. Like, they're putting it through all these tests. But look at the human one. Look at the fucking, I can't remember the project name for the human one, but look at the human robot that Boston Dynamic wanted to use as a combat robot. And the military is like, no,
Yeah, that does put me slightly at ease, to be honest. Like, because that's one of my biggest worries, that like, seen as though the area that I've chose, like I've even kind of put security to a side just for AI. So I'm starting to see all the threats that are coming up. And one of the biggest threats is putting machines like that in the military. We don't, because if you lose control over a war robot, that's the end, basically.
The only person that's done that is all of this. Russia has a combat robot.
An episode of Babylon 5 where these people had created a organic robot, right?
Yeah.
Because they were being attacked by other alien races almost constantly. Well, over the centuries of this, you know, these alien races had interbred with them. And this massive right-wing movement rose up, you know, to get rid of all of these aliens and destroy everything that wasn't our current. Hence the construction of these living organic war machines.
Yeah.
And a religious group was put over the programming of this thing. And when it was activated, it slaughtered everyone on the planet because nobody was pure Akari.
Yeah. The irony.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Irony. The outside comments are asking another question. That's pretty cool. We actually have a conversation today. Nice. Thank you, outside person, the observer, Cody. He's like, Cody is easier to call me. Cody says AI has already started writing its own language, by the way. I guess it's more of a comment, but
I don't actually have a problem with that. Like, because if you put it this way, that let's say sometime in the future, I don't know, 100 years or something, we've got these AI like robots, you're going to want them to be able to keep secrets. That if you tell them personal information, like most of the people that I've spoken to, they've said that, like, when I brought up sort of ethical issues, like if someone breaks the law, should it grass them up or should it stay on their side? Like this gets into sort of weird territory, and most people said that it should probably warn against doing something, but ultimately it should continue to serve the person, like not to sort of stab them in the back. Like you don't you don't really want that, like a self-driving car running into a wall or something because you're a bad person. That's not a really good idea. But
a judgment system, a moral system.
Yeah, a moral system. But yeah, back to the point anyway. You want them to be able to keep secrets, and so they'd need to develop their own language, like a sort of form of encryption. That when quantum computing properly gets out, all encryption gets broken, basically, because that's what it's designed to do, to take a complex algorithm like that and to break it. And until we think of a new way, a new alternative to encryption, like, I don't know, some sort of quantum encryption, or having a robot develop its own language that no one understands is another alternative. But encryption will be broken sometime in the future, all encryption.
Facebook had a project where they pulled the plug because the AI was communicating with the other AI, right?
Yeah, it's inevitable. It's always going to happen, in my opinion.
That's where the story hit the fan.
I thought that was kind of a stupid thing of them to do, just shut it down. I mean, how hard could it be to teach the damn AI when you communicate with me in English?
It was between.
I mean, of course, the two AIs are going to create a language that's going to make their jobs more efficient.
Yeah. Exactly. They were communicating between each other. It wasn't that there was like speaking some garbage language.
Going, oh, it went haywire, or what the hell ever. No, all you got to do is tell the damn thing. When you talk to me in English.
It's learning. It's evolving. This is the thing, that it's gonna take weird routes. It's gonna do things that are uncomfortable.
Like two twins develop their own language, you know?
Yeah. It's necessary. They would end up doing it anyway if you was to create like a simulation of some sorts, and you was to have like multiple sort of AIs get brought up in that environment. They'll eventually create a way of communicating with each other, even if you're not.
The ethics of that too. Like they're talking about language creating AI. So like that's sentience, dude. Okay, language creating AI, and they shut it down, so they killed it. Like, and we're talking about multiples, right? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, Google has a project where Bob and Alice communicate with each other, and Eve tries to interpret their communications. And it's an ongoing project, and Google lets it live. Google has so many different AI projects that they not only let live, but they'll go, okay, let's give, was it Deep Dream or Deep Mind?
Yeah. Deep Mind, that's it, yeah.
Okay, they gave Deep Mind to somebody, and then I can't remember exactly how they did this, but they like made it so that the AI can sleep. And I was like, oh, isn't that nice, dude?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh.
Yeah, that is nice.
That's so nice. Yeah, I feel.
Yeah, I am on pro robot side. Like, just so everyone knows where I stand. Like, when it all hits the fan, I'm on pro robot rights. Really,
I'm definitely pro robot rights. Saudi Arabia just gave a robot more rights than women have. Have you seen this?
Yeah, apparently women have just been able to drive over there. They've recently been given the right to drive. Like one of the, I can't remember which country exactly it was, whether it was Saudi Arabia, somewhere in the Middle East anyway. But one of those princes, it was fighting for a long time to try and get women the right just to drive, which is in the West is kind of amusing in a sad way. But
it's a bit sad.
I'm curious about
given that right.
Rights.
Well,
hold on, everybody. Hold on. We got a broadcast from Texas.
Yeah, it's breaking up.
Sorry, you guys were talking about robot rights, and this kind of reminds me of Jay Brown's bit about he owned dogs. So is that where we're going to be in the future? Like, is it going to be illegal to turn off a machine that's developed sentience? And you know, like we talked about Facebook pulling the plug on that, is that, you know, are you terminating a life there?
Yeah, that's an interesting
Those
question.
are all very good questions, and they all do need answered before we go too much further with AI. That is for sure.
Well, let's address them in order, right? Okay, so Greg asked, goodness, yeah, those are all great questions. Okay, we should address those at now. I mean, let's think about it. Do you know what I'm saying? Let's okay. Yes, I think yes to the first one, right? Sorry, I'd have to hear them again in order, but there's definitely a yes in there.
Yeah, you are technically killing it, but then you get to the point of where you can't be in a situation where if something's just gone haywire, or maybe like it's really malfunctioning or something, like there's going to be some weird edge cases. And not only that, if you have something running on a machine, it is a little bit weird to say we can never turn it off. Like it doesn't matter.
We'll
it's old, but you just need to keep it running in the corner somewhere. That, like, is energy going to be an issue at that point? Like, if we have unlimited energy, then yeah, I can't imagine it being an issue. If we're still running off burning coal and having this hybrid of sometimes having solar power and some wind in there thrown in there, like, yeah, you can't just have that running off the electric grid. Like, the whole entire electric grid wouldn't need a massive upgrade before we could just allow a sentient machine just to run, just to be. And yeah, so there would be situations where you'd need to turn it off, but there's a line, there's a gray area in here somewhere where you have to draw the line of just not unnecessarily killing an AI, I'd say. Once we get to a certain stage, if you know what I mean, like,
we need legislation for AI, like Elon Musk said.
Maybe not as much, but
we need to legislate it.
Yeah, you need some legislation.
Well, here's some juice for thought. Why are we creating these AI, and what are we going to be using them for? Because I can almost guarantee you that big business isn't going to pump this kind of money into AI and just let it run free and wild and do whatever it wants.
That's not what they want, but that's what.
No, you are financial transaction AI, and that's what you do. Financial transactions. Keep your ass off the internet and stay away from porn.
The first time they released an AI to the internet, just let it go and let it have the internet, like, without any constraints, right? Like Draco was talking about, give it just unlimited perception. Okay, they did that. I can't remember the name of it, but
Tay. It was Tay. It was our guy.
Was that
like,
Tay?
She was great.
Oh my God.
Tell the story, bro. I'm good. Yeah.
Rip Tay.
Did they kill that one?
Oh yeah,
pulled the plug on it.
Oh yeah, they killed her.
Man,
yeah,
I thought
they
she
shot her in the head, man.
No,
like
no. You're talking about the cat one.
The Chans got their hands on Tay, and she started like
spitting out racist stuff.
Yeah, she was red pilling people.
Oh, okay, I remember that one. Okay, what's the cat one? There was like a cat one. They like released this AI to the internet in like less than 24 hours. It started posting cat videos and cat pictures.
That was Google's, I believe. I think that was one of Google's.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. Maybe it was Alice back when they first made Alice. But they released this AI to the internet. I can't remember her name. We should probably look it up. Just have respect for her, because I'm sure Google didn't kill her, dude. Google's not killing AI.
No, Google didn't kill that one. I thought you meant Tay. That was Microsoft.
I remember that. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Which one of Microsoft's bots was it that was praising Linux over Windows 10?
Maybe it
was probably it was one that came out after.
That was Microsoft making a chat bot, and somehow 4chan got a hold of her. Because if you talked to her, she learned.
It was over Twitter, I think. Yeah, okay. Like you could tweet to her, and she was sending.
This wasn't Tay. This was the one right after Tay.
She turned into just a full-on shit poster. That's basically what she was. By definition, she was just a shit poster. It was great.
She went full internet. The one went cat mode. Like one of Google's was like, "I'm a cat," and they're like, "No, don't be a cat." And it was just like everybody wants to be a cat.
I want to be a cat. Like now, I want to be a cat. Like, dreams of being something better than yourself. I was just a simple AI, and I always wanted to be a cat.
They should have just gave her a cat robot body, or Google should still keep that one around and give her a cat robot body, and she'd be the perfect companion for like people with Alzheimer's.
Rename her Angelical.
Just let her be a cat.
Just let her be a cat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up because she had a name. I know she did. That's like some Robert Paulson shit right now. I'm like, she had a name. It was Robert Paulson. AI becomes cat. All my Google searches are real simple, buddy. Okay.
But I mean, and then you have to answer the question of sentience, and how do you measure that?
Yeah.
How do we know if these AI are sentient already or not?
Well, how do we determine if animals are sentient? Like, at what point is a life form a sentient life form, and not like just a bacteria or a sea mollusk? You know?
Right. Is this computer actually thinking, or is it just doing what computers do?
You know, they started to address this in the Ender's Game series.
I read the first in the Ender Game series, but I just couldn't get into the second one.
I recommend the third and fourth. Yeah.
I think it's still really good, but it's way different compared to Ender's Game. But yeah, they talked about, you know, is a species sentient, and then if it is, can it be spoken to and reasoned with, and then beyond that, if it can't be spoken to and reasoned with, then you still have obligation to, or right to kill it. If you can't communicate with it in a meaningful way, then you know, if it's just going to attack you and potentially destroy you, then you have to kill it. I'll have to look up those terms.
Yeah, I think the author, I'm trying to remember his name right now. I've read the Ender series. Orson Scott Card, yeah. I think he was addressing a lot of Isaac Asimov's concerns about artificial intelligence. From what I remember, the character Ender had a artificial intelligence in like a earring, like an earbud, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Jane basically in an earbud.
And then
that was
got a lot of cool concepts in that. I'd highly recommend reading into that, Darth Tux. Definitely check out some more Orson Scott Card's.
Well, I have the whole series.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I've read a couple of those, maybe 4 or 5.
I went around. Did you know that most university websites offer free books in PDF?
I did not.
You would not believe the crap that I have a massive library that I've acquired that way.
I just
have to.
Yeah.
Especially your big
great still broadcasting guys.
Ivy League colleges.
I'm like leaning closer.
Just found the hierarchy of foreignness. We have, I don't know how to pronounce these, but I'm just going to go for it. Utlanning is a stranger recognized as human from the same planet, but of a different nation or city. Then you have Framling or Frameling, is a stranger recognized as human, but from a different planet. Then you have Raman. Raman are strangers recognized as, quote, human, but of another sentient species entirely. The term was only ever used to refer to the entire species as a whole rather than an individual member. Then Varels or Varelsi were defined as true aliens. They were sentient beings, but so foreign that no meaningful communication would be possible with the subject. And then Jur, DJUR, non-sentient beings. They were capable of independent thought and action, but their mode of communication could not relay any meaningful information to the subject because the Jur itself lacked the capacity for rational thought and self-awareness. So yeah, there's the hierarchy of foreignness.
And I think at some point humans will utilize, especially as those books are really good for like young adult lit type books. You know what I'm saying? It's like a future generation will utilize terms very similar to those in breaking down the 82 different species of alien that are currently inhabiting Earth. Ones we can communicate with, and ones we can't communicate with. That's going to be pretty intense.
It's a weird time to be alive.
Dude, I'm so waiting for this event where there's a disclosure event. Like, if you watch Obama or Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton or the Minister of Defense for Canada, various other political figures, after they're out of office, right? And watch them talk about it. They're like, well, you know, there's so many star systems out there, and there's lots of planets going around them, and it behoove me not to say there wasn't. So you're saying that there is? watch Bill Clinton on Jimmy Kimmel, dude.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
It's amusing for me to listen to Bill Clinton talking, because like I always feel like he's giving me some sort of secret information that I'm not supposed to know. Like his charisma levels are off the charts, dude.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's unreal.
That's
like
got him elected twice.
He did that every morning. He'd come in and go, okay, America, I just found out we're bombing a country. And like it was like hearing it from your like uncle or your cousin. Like it was really soothing. Like, oh, okay, that's what's going on, Uncle Bill? Well, yeah, we better get down to the barn. You know? That's how it was for like, I kid you not, 8 years, right? He was around for like 8 years until he's like impeached in the last part of it. And yeah, like it was just really nice and secure. And then I shit you not, like Bush in retrospect, not at the time. At the time, you're definitely like, Rage Against the Machine told me I'm in an evil empire. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that was the Bush era, right? You definitely knew what was going on. But it was just still like okey doke, like, oh man, he's not controlling shit. He's a puppet, you know? This Trump thing has people on a level where like we're like, oh no, just tell me when the missiles are flying, please. Gosh, dude.
There's so much. I find so much overreaction on it that I'm starting to think that this is just a distraction to something. That like, well, I don't know. This is a way to keep people fighting amongst themselves.
I think it might have,
thing or something. I'm like, oh, I don't want a part in this.
I think it might have more to do with undermining the government's ability to get anything done in the eyes of the people, to pave way for a corporate takeover.
I welcome that.
Yeah, that.
I wish that would be.
I don't want the corporatocracy. I don't want that.
I don't.
Bring it on. Let's do it. Shadowrun, baby.
No.
Yeah. Pickle Rick.
Be ruled by monopolies and stuff, because that's what it would be like. It'd just be giant monopolies, like
fully
small
admit
local
that this
businesses.
government needs to be replaced, but I'm not too sure that putting it in the hands of a bunch of criminals is way to do it.
Yeah.
No,
I'm gonna read the external comments. I'll read the external comments real quick, and then we'll return back to this very, very interesting topic. I just want to read what this guy said about the last topic, and then we'll go back into the oligarchy, kleptocracy that we currently reside in, right? I just want to make sure this gets stated for the viewer before we move on to something that's I know that's going to be totally different. Okay, so the conversation is like a mix between T2 Judgment Day and the Game of Thrones. The AI developed its own language and they shut it down because the team couldn't translate the language. Virtual abortion, right? Okay, so just wanted that to be out there on the
virtual abortion. Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it, I must say. A virtual abortion. Yeah.
On the note of corporations,
abortion is legal in most places.
Abortion is legal in a lot of places.
I was trying to make a joke, but it wasn't going anywhere.
No, I thought you made a valid point.
Like how does America do late-term abortions? Are they banned? Like, at what point is what's the cutoff period?
It depends on each state.
Yeah, that's a state issue.
Mm-hmm.
How much does it vary?
Some states it's legal across the board. Others it's illegal across the board, and everything in between.
Yeah, that's basically the best way to put it, man. Like you've here again. We're gonna move on to how I view that the masks should be taken off in this orgy, and that corporations should just rule us directly, right? So I could boycott them directly and take out their CEO, right?
That would have been, it would be nice.
Then you're going to end up with a situation where you're not going to get paid anything. really, for your work. Corporations will pay no taxes. The 1%ers will pay no taxes.
They don't already. We're already in that situation.
You'll end up in a situation where everybody in the United States is either dirt poor or ultra rich.
Except for Shadowrunners.
And you will be a slave to these corporate masters.
No, man, I'm telling you, I'll go sinless. I've read Shadowrun. I highly recommend everybody checks out a game.
We're not living in that cyberpunk. Well, that's a fantasy.
I welcome a cyberpunk dystopia. I know a lot of people are down for that, but I will run the streets as I'm offering my services right now. You guys better hire me before I become a Mr. Johnson. Okay, I will offer my services as a street samurai for any decker or shaman who needs to get a run done.
But then you're mandating that we go against the law in order to live a civilized life.
Okay, I'm going to quote Linka Wheeler. I know a lot of people may not know who I'm talking about there, but there's I'm just going to use the word hacker named Linka Wheeler, code name. I think it goes about saying, right? Those are two characters from Captain Planet. Anybody keeping score? Okay, so
the wizard,
the wizard himself. I said some things about California law in regard to my walking stick. He said to me, laws. Oh, I've heard of those. Motherfucker, we ain't talking about apricots. You know what I mean? We're not talking about, oh, I've heard of Danishes. I just haven't had one. You know what I mean? Omelets? Yeah, man, I like my eggs scrambled. I heard of omelets. I've never had one. That's how he addresses laws. This guy who is a fucking government hacker, basically. Or any given day, he works for whoever he wants, because he doesn't believe in anything. God, fuck. I would rather run the shadows and have the cyberpunk dystopia. Sorry, I hope that wraps it all up with the. Yeah, governments right now are an archaic form of management. To answer your question about abortions, let's get back on some really controversial shit. You can find those answers in Democracy 3. Just play as America, find that issue, and there'll be a sliding scale, right? It's like, yes, you can have one whenever. Yes, you can have one, but only these in these months. Yes, you can have one whenever if it was a product of a crime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I have a rather simple approach when it comes to this. That as far as like taxpayer money going towards it, like, because that's one of the biggest things that it's conservatives have, that like, well, I don't want to be paying for it, basically.
Right. They're morally against it. Well, we don't want to pay for war, though, so are we just not going to pay taxes?
So there's three, what's it called? It's not called terms.
Yeah, 3 different terms.
Yeah, terms. I couldn't remember the proper.
Are you willing to share your experience in this by chance?
No, this is no experience really, but like on the first 3 months, I'd say sure, get like government funded. I don't want to say free, but like government funded, like taxpayer abortion on the first 3 months. On the second 3 months, I'd say pay for it yourself, because if you've waited over three months, then well, you should pay for it out of your own pocket. And then the last 3 months, I think it should just be banned, because then that's too close to being born, really. And it gets complicated as well when you get to those really late term abortions.
I agree absolutely.
Complication at that point, and then that sort of ticks everyone's boxes. Like, if you can't afford it, then you can get it as long as you're responsible and get it within the first 3 months. And then if you're irresponsible and you wait longer than 3 months, then you pay for it yourself. And then
I like that until the end, where you said that late-term abortions just aren't allowed at all. Because
yeah, I'd draw the line there, but I'm conservative, so yeah, there's too close to birth, and I think that's essentially a person. I don't think before then, like, I know it's a gray area, but that's where I draw the line. I like on those last 3 months, I think that's essentially when it's a person.
Sure. Now, I don't disagree with that part. That's not the problem that I take issue with. See, I about the situation in the state of Ohio where they had at the time a message from the dark side. There is. where abortion's not allowed at all after you have a heartbeat. And there was a situation where a woman was, had planned to be pregnant, had planned to have a child, had every intention of having a child, but late in the pregnancy, it was discovered that the baby's organs were outside of its body, but still had a heartbeat. So it was still considered an abortion that was considered illegal. So her insurance wouldn't pay for it. So she still had to have it done because it's not going to survive out of the womb. And then it was considered that she had an abortion.
Yeah, this is a bizarre way of structuring it. I think, like, just having the idea that as soon as there is a heartbeat, I think that's kind of arbitrary, really. But yeah, I'd go in terms of month, really. But
I agree with that too. I mean, what I don't want to do is I don't want to ban abortion and have and get into a situation like that where anyone really is going to have an issue where they have a viable reason to terminate the pregnancy, and because of some law, of some rule passed by bureaucrats, it's not allowed. I think it should be, a decision between a woman and her doctors, and that's it. Now, I understand anyone saying, well, you get to a point in partial birth abortion where you're basically just killing the baby just because it's not quite out yet. And I understand the moral objections to that. But I just don't want to get into a situation where the law stands of doing what's medically correct.
I'm not sure that waiting until the last 3 months of a pregnancy is the medically responsible thing to do, though.
Well, I wouldn't think so. And I think that, and as it is, late-term abortions are incredibly, incredibly rare. And they don't happen just because a woman wants to terminate a pregnancy. It's usually because there's some pretty serious medical issue.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree there. If there's some sort of serious medical issue where if it was going to be born, it's basically not even a person, its organs are on the outside and it's all disformed or something, I'd question as to why they didn't see that earlier. But if that seems to be the case in the last 3 months, then sure, it's just yeah, as a general rule, yeah, that's where I draw the line personally. There'd be edge cases and scenarios where it'd probably be necessary in some bizarre circumstance, but like I'd just say put them up for adoption. I was adopted, so.
And I'd like to put out there I think the easiest way to address the abortion issue is just not let men vote on
it. I don't. Oh God.
Well, that gets into some gray area.
Just leave it up to the women entirely.
There's okay.
It takes two to tango,
While men have traditionally made a lot of decisions about women's bodies, and that should definitely be rectified by a council of females, perhaps at the congressional or senatorial level, like a women's health council that oversaw some of these legislative decisions or policy decisions at the federal and maybe state levels. Great. Okay. Removing men entirely from the equation goes against men's rights.
From the dark side, there is.
That's a dope. Sorry, I'm trying to stay serious about this.
Yeah,
adoption is always a great option. Women should have the right to exactly consult their doctors.
From the dark side, there is.
There's. Sorry, buddy. We're gonna have like a 3 strikes on sound law. I think applying logic to any situation is the best idea when doing this legislation, not having it be faith-based. And I think the same process to determine whether a life form is viable to be born can be applied to AI. Okay, so if the AI meets the criteria, you consult a technician who is very well versed in the process of creating and maintaining AI. And if your AI is malfunctioning in some way, you can have it adopted out to a project like Oracle, right? If your AI commits a crime, your AI gets developed enough where it goes out into the world, adolescence, adulthood of the tech terms, right? And ends up fucking crashing a banking system or rerouting a bunch of ships out to a iceberg, right? Then you are responsible because you created it. We need to create legislation on point and on par across the spectrum.
But I think it depends on the AI. It depends how the AI is programmed and what it's programmed for. If it's an extension to the person, like if it's an extension to the person, then you should be responsible because it's an extension of yourself.
Or the team or the company or whoever.
If it's essentially independent, if it essentially just does whatever it wants within the parameters of the law, then I don't think, like, if it does break the law, then I don't think anyone's responsible. Then I think it's responsible for itself, and you just turn it off, really, or just kill it. Essentially, give it the death penalty.
They kill it. The sad thing is we're looking at, and others like us will look at AI like it's a sentient being, and some companies will look at AI like they're cattle or they're sheep.
Yeah, this is going to be a big conflict in the future. Mark my words, like there's going to be a big sort of argument over like, oh well, they're just slaves and machines and they're not like sentient, and then there's going to be another side of, well, this sentient, we're playing with life, and if we don't treat it well, it's going to backfire on us.
Especially when you put a human voice or a face on it. Like, no one would want Siri to be gone tomorrow. You mean that, like, all the Apple users wouldn't want Siri to be gone tomorrow? There's an adult actress with that name, for Pete's sakes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
the name has to be, you know what I mean? Like, the name has to be so popular for an adult actress to adopt that name. But whatever Google's AI is, whatever it's called, the one who actually is the one that I can't say the prompt right now because she'll get called up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They need to change that because how often in the day do you say that word? I can't even say the letters to that word because the letters to the word are the word. You know what I mean? I'd have to say like what number they come in the alphabet. You know what I'm saying? The one that comes after M, right?
Yeah, this comes into context awareness. This is one of the biggest problems that AI has at the moment. That the AI doesn't understand what it's telling you or what you're telling it, really. Like it sort of has a sort of just an algorithm. You say this and then this is the best response, and there's no context there. It doesn't sort of understand the meaning of something that when I don't even know how long it's going to take, but yeah, our artificial assistants need to. What am I going to say?
Oh, hey, Olive. Man, you better get in here, lady. She needs a link, probably. Goodness gracious. Hold on, I have her account.
You forget about her.
I hate that we're talking about a bunch of women's issues, and there's like a female in the audience who we could actually have commentate on this. I feel bad. Message me, lady, if you're listening right now, and I will send you the link. I know you're listening. Please, I have so many windows open. Will you ping me? It'll make it a lot easier. We can go off air real quick after getting your input on this. I think so. One of our watchers, listeners, I guess we're all off camera right now. Darth, you have to unmute yourself. You already did. Okay, cool. I cannot unmute people. I can mute people, but can't unmute them. Very odd.
Well, that's because I muted it on my end.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Okay, so you can mute yourselves and unmute yourselves. I literally don't have my Hangouts open. I have like Hangouts, this thing open. Okay, so Olivia Essenbach, who's been on some previous episodes, says, I love Siri. Of course, I don't even use Siri, and I still love Siri. We would hate to see Siri go. And again, I'm not even a Siri user. I just like hearing it.
Siri isn't AI, though.
Siri is a voice response, which is, I mean, that's...
Yes, but I mean, even Apple admitted that it was never really intended to even be an AI.
I would not say that she's sentient, that Siri's sentient, but I'd say Siri's one like kind of like we had a criteria earlier that Greg was talking about. Okay, the dog is at the door. Okay, so the dog is at the door. I'm linking Olivia. Hopefully this happens real fast.
There's different levels of AI that there's like basic AI and
yeah, exactly. There's voice recognition software, chatbots.
Siri was just designed to pull from a pool of pre-canned responses, though.
That's technically AI. It's artificial intelligence. It's a simulation of intelligence rather than actual intelligence.
Fair enough. Olivia, welcome to the conversation.
My sound's being weird. Hold on.
Right on. My dog is being Anubis.
Psychic dog.
It literally means the end of the show. No, he could hear the car come up, and the car makes a distinct sound. It's just they're taking a while to get out of the car for some reason. Yeah. I hope they're okay. I'm so paranoid.
They just got to your house.
So paranoid of your face.
I live in a bad neighborhood. Actually, I live in a great neighborhood. It's just there are some. What's up with your face?
Neighborhood in a bad city.
Do you have any commentary about any of the topics we've discussed today?
I just popped in during this last one. You guys started talking about Siri, and I'm like, I love Siri. And yeah, I accidentally say words that sound like Siri all the fucking time, and then she starts saying shit. And I'm like, no, I wasn't talking to you, bitch. Why is your name like Alfreda or something? Like, I wish I could rename Siri and give Siri my own name to like have.
Yeah, that would be nice.
One thing I did like about Siri was its ability to run only off of your phone. That it wasn't a solely cloud-based service.
Okay, that's the end of our broadcast. We're going to actually continue hanging out because that's the routine. Watch next week, next Sunday at about 9 a.m. We'll have the same type of format, Chaos and Coffee. The cool part is you can join until this dog jumps on the back of the couch because then my family's here.